I'm Mike. This is Glenda.
Hi. We're Herons on the Fly. Welcome. Thank you for spending some time with us. We've been full-time RVers for a little over 5 years now.
Yeah, a long time. It's a long time in the RV. But what we're going to do is Glenda is on a lot of RVing websites, and so she's noticed that there's a lot of questions that come up on these websites, and we're hoping that we can answer some of these questions. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a 3-part series on the next 3 Sundays in a row, and we're going to start off with what we wish we had known before we started RVing. And boy, there's quite a few things, isn't there?
Yeah, we made a lot of mistakes and spent money on stuff we shouldn't have bought and things, so we thought we'd try and give you a heads up on some of it.
Here are those things that we consider items we wish we'd had known about prior to starting.
Yes.
Some of those items we're going to go over are pretty important items. Like, we bought our motorhome, our Tiffin, in Texas. Now it's 39 feet, 9 inches long, for all intents and purposes 40 feet. And we've got a gross weight of 32,000 pounds. And it's important that you weigh your rig once you get it loaded full of fuel, full of water and everything, like you're going to drive it down the road. And we found out that anything over 23,001 pound in the state of Texas requires a Class B non-CDL license. Now, when we bought the rig, nobody told us that. So we had to go get a learner's permit, practice driving the thing, and then we had to take a written test and a driving test. We wound up parallel parking the RV, backing it up in a straight line, driving it on a highway, making turns, driving it through a neighborhood. It was about a half hour's worth of driving. And they want to make sure that you can operate your rig safely, and which I think is a good thing. But we did not know this when we signed on the dotted line and bought the rig.
Yeah, nobody told us that. The dealership didn't tell us that, and it was, I mean, it was a process.
Yeah.
You know, and we both got the driver's license. We also found out that if you, in our state, if you're in an accident and you don't have the non-CDL Class B license, your insurance may not cover.
Yeah, you'd be considered an unlicensed driver because you don't have that classification if your rig weighs a certain amount. So you need to look into that prior to buying one of the big rigs like we're running.
So, and check your state to see what your state requires. And it could be, you know, we didn't look at other states, so it may be different in your state. And the way you weigh your rig once you have it full of fuel and water is you go to a truck stop where you get gas.
Yep.
And there's a
Black Cat weighing scales.
An aisle, and you go in and they'll explain how to do it, and you get on the way, you know, you drive through it, and you get a certificate that shows how much your rig weighed.
And that's really important, so you know what you got. And whether it's a fifth wheel, a travel trailer, whatever you're driving, a Class A, whatever it is you're driving, you need to find that out. Now, another thing is, when we started out, they usually give you a little hose and some fittings to dump your sewer, and you have some rigs have a built-in surge protector, some don't.
Right.
But of all these things, they are basically, when you get them from the dealer, are inadequate for doing any kind of serious RVing where you're going to go out for a week, 2 weeks, or longer. So one of the things is, we wish we'd have known just how much the startup costs were going to run, because the startup costs are in the hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, based on what you want to buy. Also, when you're starting out, there's things that we've learned that are safety items that need to be purchased. And one of the most important ones, I think, is a forward-facing camera, because we've had people brake check us, we've had traffic just lock up in front of us, and it takes quite a distance to stop a 30,000-pound vehicle. So, you know, your braking distance is much farther. So a forward-facing camera protects you for sure as far as liabilities and whatnot, and you have that little chip that you can play and show whose fault it is, perhaps, if you were in an accident. And we've come close a couple of times, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Also, if you have a trailer behind your RV, you're going to need some sort of a brake system, because most trailers have electric brakes, so you're going to need some sort of an electric brake system to put on so that you can stop the trailer with the RV. So that's a whole other thing. And if you're towing with 4 down, which is you use a tow bar, that's a whole nother brake system. So you have to consider that. You have to consider a tow bar, and you have to consider the possibility of a trailer. Also, there's some other safety items that you may not need right away, but are really nice to have. One of them is a steering dampener, and it's called a Safety Plus. And we'll flash a picture of that so that you can see that. And that makes all the difference in the world when it's windy. It really does. And another thing that's really important, especially if you're running a travel trailer or if you're running a fifth wheel, is a tire pressure monitoring system, a TPMS system. And the best one we've found so far is Easy Tire. They're, depending on the number of tires you have, can run up towards $500, but it is a must-have. It can tell you, it can alert you prior to a blowout. Most travel trailers or fifth wheels the tires that are on them are adjusted for empty weight. So if you're going to add 2,000 pounds worth of clothes, food, toys, whatever it is you're going to add, you could be exceeding the weight for those tires, and you can blow those tires out, and they do a lot of damage. We've had a lot of friends that have actually had blowouts going down the road. The question is, how many didn't have blowouts? Because it's a pretty common thing. So a TPMS system is extremely important.
So we have had an alert on our TPMS system
3 times, 4 times?
3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Once going into Portland, that was really critical.
Yeah, we were going 75 miles an hour.
So we do have another video about the TPMS system and tire maintenance, and in the description below the video, I'll put the link in for that video if you want to watch that.
Yeah, there's that's one of those things, and also tires. You need to watch your tires. It is conceivable that you could have a brand new vehicle and the tires could already be a year old. And if you get 5 to 6 years out of a set of tires, you've done really, really well. You know, you don't want to put any shiny stuff on your tires because the sidewalls will crack, and sidewall cracks are just another reason for those tires to blow out. So you really need to pay attention to what you're doing. Just wash your tires and take care of them, and that's good enough. And just keep an eye on them. And tire pressures are extremely important too. Nobody tells you all this stuff. You have to either have somebody like us say these are things you need to look for, or I guess inherently just know that, you know, watching your tires is a really important thing.
So when you first start out, you think you have to join all these Sam's Clubs and KOA or buy all these memberships and everything. We did some of that at the beginning and really didn't use any of them.
They're expensive too. I mean, some of them are up to $3,000.
So we got stuck outside of Jackson, Mississippi with a maintenance issue, and Good Sam's, even though we were near a major city, Good Sam's could not help us at all.
And we had the road service, yeah.
So, you know, really think about what you actually need. Maybe go out on the road first before you start buying all these memberships and everything. We also, for your GPS, and you know, if you use your maps on your phone, sometimes it's not always correct for the size rig that you have, and it may take you on smaller streets or over a bridge that's can't handle the weight of your rig. So you want to make sure you have some kind of navigation system that's accurate. We buy the Trucker Atlas every year, or every 2 years.
Every 2 years, yeah.
So it's great. It will show you by state what routes have low clearances and where there are restrictions. So before we go anywhere, I pull the Trucker Atlas out and I check all the routes that we're going to go on to make sure that there's no issues.
And this is really, really important for those of you who want to go off the beaten path, who don't want to run major highways, the interstate system, and who want to slip off into the country and ride through the country or whatever. Yeah, that Trucker Atlas is worth its weight in gold. I mean, it really gives you the good information, and it has phone numbers for checking the roads to see if they're open in the event of inclement weather.
So we have a Kenwood system in our rig, and we've had to update the navigation system in that Kenwood
three times
now.
Yeah.
And there's a whole process to do that. And you have to get on the computer and download all the information onto a chip that you plug into the dashboard to update the nav system in the Kenwood.
Yeah, and to do that, you know, you just need to go to the manufacturer's website. So in our case, it's Kenwood, and we go to the website, and it's got all the directions on how to do that. Is it really, really easy? I wouldn't say it's really, really easy, but it's extremely doable. So you just need to go to the website, follow the directions of uploading the latest and greatest maps, and follow it step by step, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right, talking about the expense of startup items, there's a few things you need to know. One is the water in a lot of campgrounds is horrible. It's either hard or tastes terrible, and a lot of people buy these little blue bombs that look like a muffler that are about this long. They're worthless. They're 5 microns, and they do nothing but take sediment out of the water and nothing more. And so you really still have hard water, and you have water that potentially could be contaminated. We actually got run out of a campground up in the mountains in Pennsylvania one time because their water system didn't pass the county inspection for being safe water. So what we do, and Glenda can pan down, and we'll get more into this with items we like, but this is a clear source water system, or water filtration system. It's 2 filters that last 90 days that are $65 for 2 of them. One takes you down, and they takes you down to all the way down to 0.1 microns, which takes viruses and bacteria and everything else out of the water. The water tastes great. Connected to that is a water softener. And we highly recommend a water softener because that water softener really can save on a lot of stuff in your coach. For instance, you'll start getting calcium deposits and stuff on your faucets, and your water system won't be working that great. So by adding a water softener, which is really easy, about every 90 days, you just add 3 boxes of salt, let it sit, rinse it out, and it activates it, and you're good to go. These 2 items are incredibly important. Good quality hoses, incredibly important. Also, some campgrounds have real high pressure water, so a pressure regulator is really, really important as well. So, and you can buy all this stuff on Amazon. The next thing that I consider to be really, really important is an external surge protector. Now, you very well may have a surge protector in your coach, but that thing is incredibly expensive because it has a transfer switch in it. So by using an external surge protector, instead of tripping the one in the house, you trip the one externally, and it will tell you what the deal is and throw codes for that. The next thing that I think is really, really important is a good sewer hose. We use the Rhino hoses, and they are excellent, and we don't keep them for years at a time. We replace the entire set of sewer hoses because we full time annually. So we're going to take and we're going to spend 50, 60 bucks for approximately 40 foot of sewer hose with the fittings, and it keeps the seals from being too dry, and it's really, really helpful. And buy a good quality hose. We found that the Rhino hoses seem to be the best. They seem to work and hold up the best for us. And there's two grades of them. Get the higher grade one, because if you step on it, it won't break. It just pops right back up, and you're good to go. It also comes with its own fitting as well. So that's a wonderful thing. There's a few other things, like if you want a boondock, and we'll talk more about this going forward, but if you want a boondock, you're probably going to want to buy some lithium batteries. Now we put 6 lithium iron phosphate batteries in our coach, so we're good for 30 plus hours without the generator being on, which is really, really nice. We added solar to the roof. Again, you don't need to do that, but it sure is nice to have. And we'll go through more of these items as we go. Okay, another thing that we've added was a trickle charger in our cranking battery bay. If you sit for a week, 2 weeks, or whatever, you're probably going to want to have a trickle charger. This way, it keeps your batteries all the way up, so when you go to start your coach, especially in cold weather, you've got a full charge on your batteries, and it's only like a 2 amp trickle charger. They're not very expensive. You can buy them on Amazon, put a couple of alligator clips on them, and just hook them up, and it's real easy to do. And these 2 AGM batteries are for crank batteries to start the coach. I just have that plugged. When the coach is plugged in, what I do is I plug that into an AC outlet in one of our other bays, and run an extension cord over here and keep it plugged in. And yeah, I use that. I've been using that now for several years, and we don't have any issues with our cranking batteries, because we used to get a low voltage alert. And once we sat for like a month or 3 weeks, sometimes those batteries would draw down due to parasitic draw. So another thing, because we go places that there is no communication. I mean, no TV, no internet, no phone service. And I don't know about you folks, I'm 68 years old. Glenda's a little younger than me. And you got to have some level of communication. So what we did was we added Starlink. Now Starlink is $150 a month and $600 for the basic equipment to start out. However, we've taken our smartphones and we can turn the smartphones into satellite phones. There's an app for that that's free. And you can turn it into your smartphone into a satellite phone. So now you can communicate from those off the beaten track places. Also, you always have internet. You can stream, you can do all sorts of stuff. And it works in conjunction with the smart TVs in your rig. So that's one of those things you have to decide how you're going to camp. Am I going to boondock, Am I going to be in places where those campgrounds have TV connections? And do you have good phone service? Is there decent internet service? And all of that stuff. So you have to decide the little hot spots that you get. They're great if you're in a town that they work. But when you get off the beaten path, so to speak, and you're out in the boonies enjoying nature, if you don't have phone service, you don't have a hotspot service either. So that's just one of those things you need to consider, and that's why we put Starlink in, and it does a great job for us.
All right, so when you're checking on your insurance for your rig, if you're driving a vehicle and you're not towing something, you want to check about the windshield replacement part of your insurance and consider if you want to get that or not. We passed on it, and I wish we hadn't, because we've had so many rock chips. The roads, highways are terrible. We've had at least 5 or 6 rock chips that we kind of have doctored up. Well, this year it finally went on us, and we had a $2,500 deductible, and it was around $5,000 to replace the windshield. So we had to pony up that deductible. And so this year, when I renew my insurance, I'm going to check on the windshield replacement portion of that coverage. So that's something to consider. And we do have a video on getting the windshield replaced. That was very interesting to watch them do that. So that's another startup cost that you want to think about and add into your budget when you're thinking about either buying a vehicle or getting out and starting RVing.
And the cost of insurance alone.
Yeah, it's getting very expensive.
That's it for items that we wish we knew about before we started out. There's probably a few more that we think about. Now our next one is going to be items that we love, and some of the stuff we're shown today will go a little bit more in depth and show you those items. There are quite a few.
So and these are tested and true things that we've bought multiple brands of or something, and we've really found over our years that we love this stuff, and we're not endorsed by anybody, so it's a true assessment.
Yeah, we keep spending that money. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed this video. Look forward to sharing with you our favorite products in the next video, and then the last video is going to be how we trip plan, and that's a lot easier than you think, and it's not all about your phone either. So if you enjoyed this video, like, share, please subscribe, hit that button, because we are Errands on the Fly. Have a good afternoon, everybody.